Ancient hatreds coming to Canada. Hi, I'm Brian Lilly, political columnist with the Toronto Sun. Over the weekend, we saw what were supposed to be pro-Palestinian marches across the country turn into definitively anti-Israel, anti-Semitic protests. The type of protests that I don't think have a place in Canadian society. Why? Because it wasn't just about saying that you stood with the Palestinian people. Far too often, the people showing up with signs, with flags, with slogans were actually calling for death to Israel, or death to Jews, or erasing the Jewish state from the face of the earth. And that is why I say these ancient hatreds have no place in Canada. When you come to this country, you leave the ancient hatreds behind. Doesn't mean that you forget about your homeland, but you don't hate the people that you live next to in your new country. I say this as someone whose family is from an immigrant family. My parents came in 1968. Part of the impetus for coming was the hatred that they saw in the west of Scotland, driven by the sectarian violence in Northern Ireland. I say this as someone who grew up in a multi-ethnic, multicultural community where the first time I saw a gun drawn was at a soccer match between rival ethnic factions. I know all about people bringing the ancient hatreds to this country, but it shouldn't happen, and we have to call it out when it does, because that is what was on display on the weekend. I'm not just talking about the video widely circulated of a man being beaten with sticks and flagpoles. I'm talking about some of the signs and flags on display that went well beyond the pale. Check out this one, tweeted out by Jewish leader Avi Bonolo, which says, "Nazis equal Israel. What's the difference? Israel is a terrorist state. Death to Israel." That's not saying I stand with the Palestinian people. That's not saying let Gaza be free. No, that is saying death to an identifiable group of people. It's a sign being held up, by the way, right in front of police. That was in the city of Toronto. So was this tweet from Michael Levitt, former Liberal MP. It's an Israeli flag covered in swastikas. We all get the point of that symbol. Or what about this one from London, Ontario, of an actual Nazi flag being flown alongside the Palestinian flags at a rally in that city. We saw similar incidents happen in Hamilton, in Montreal. We saw slogans being chanted here in Toronto like, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." That's a call for the eradication of Israel, not a call for peace, not a call for a two-state solution. That, ladies and gentlemen, goes beyond the pale of what we accept in political discourse in this country. If you want to go back and fight for your old homeland, if you want to go back and join a terrorist cause, by all means do it, but don't expect to be welcomed back into Canada, and don't expect that those of us who believe in civil political discourse and using the ballot box rather than the bullet are going to stand for you. Some of these protests, by the way, turned violent, especially in Montreal. As a friend pointed out, you have a right to protest. You don't have a right to riot, and that's what happened in that city. We need to call out political violence, be it verbal, or symbolic, or real when we see it. And we saw it in spades over the weekend. Let us know what you think. Drop a comment down below. You can make sure you share this on Facebook, on Twitter, and email it out so that people know what's going on.